Mr. Assistant Secretary, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's just about 3 hours ago, U.S. Secretary of State Mr. Antony J. Blinken announced a new visa policy to promote democratic elections in Bangladesh. Under this policy, I quote him, the United States will be able to restrict the issuance of visas for any Bangladeshi individual believed to be responsible for or complicit in undermining the democratic election process in Bangladesh, unquote. Mr. Donald Lu, my question to you, why did the US government take this new visa policy for Bangladeshis, and is this really necessary?
So Laura, thank you so much for having me on your program today. I want to make something very clear. We have not sanctioned anybody today. As you just mentioned, the Secretary of State has issued a new policy today, which allows the U.S. government to restrict U.S. visas for anyone found to be impeding or undermining free and fair elections in Bangladesh. So this could be members of the government, could be members of the judiciary, it could be law enforcement, or it could be members of the opposition. Our view is that defense of democracy is both necessary and essential for Bangladesh to continue to move forward as a leader in South Asia and around the world.
How will Bangladeshi individuals, including current and former Bangladesh officials and others, be targeted under this policy? As you mentioned, that government officials, any member of the government, anyone.
So Laura, let me repeat. This policy will be applied equally to members of government and members of the opposition. For example, if we were to find that a member of the opposition had been involved in violence to undermine elections or voter intimidation, that individual would be allowed to get a U.S. visa. Similarly, if we were to find that a member of government or law enforcement was involved in voter intimidation or violence or denial of free speech, we would not allow that person to travel to the United States.
Do the visa restrictions affect family members as well?
So, yes is the answer. Both this new policy as well as the law that underpins it is very clear. Immediate family members, meaning spouses and children, are subject to the same visa restrictions.
And will you notify the affected individuals that their visas have been revoked?
Correct. For anyone that we would revoke a visa for, we would inform them immediately.
And Mr. Donald, who specifically will be restricted? Specifically?
So Laura, again, the Secretary of State has announced a policy today, and we have not yet applied that policy to any specific individuals. The policy allows us to restrict travel to the U.S. for anyone who has committed abuses in one of 4 areas: voter intimidation, vote rigging, denial of free speech or freedom of assembly, and violence that seeks to undermine free and fair elections. I want to give you my promise that this policy will be carried out in a way which is fair and constructive. It will be carried out equally towards opposition and towards the government. The U.S. government never takes sides in elections. We do not support a particular party or particular candidate. The only thing the U.S. government supports is a free and fair democratic process.
How would visa restrictions apply to individuals committing offenses taking orders from higher levels to whom it would be difficult to link involvement?
It's a great question. These restrictions would apply both to those giving orders and those taking orders. For those who are taking orders and who carry out acts of violence or voter intimidation or vote rigging, they would be ineligible for a U.S. visa. At the same time, those who are giving orders, those individuals would not be allowed to travel to the United States either.
Is this announcement in retaliation for the government of Bangladesh's decision of May 14 to curtail Ambassador Peter Haas' security detail?
So Laura, it is absolutely not. I personally was involved with providing advance notice about this new policy to the government of Bangladesh on May 3rd. So there's no way our decision and our announcement on May 3rd could be retaliation for a decision taken by government later on May 14. The U.S. government has not and we will not take decisions based on retaliation.
How far back does this policy apply?
So, Laura, this is a forward-looking policy, meaning that our hope is that this policy will help to prevent violence and promote a free and fair election in this coming year in Bangladesh. We take very seriously that responsibility, and we don't plan to look backwards. The United States considers itself a friend of Bangladesh. We want that this policy is used to support the efforts of your Prime Minister, her government, Bangladeshi civil society, and the Bangladeshi people to have a free and fair election in a country which is just so very important to the United States.
Mr. Donaldo, could you please tell us that why Bangladesh election is so important to USA?
So, Laura, I have had the opportunity now to visit several times to Bangladesh. It is a country that's very special to us. We have wonderful people-to-people ties between families and between institutions like universities and our companies. For us, the promotion of democracy around the world is a central tenet of the Biden-Harris administration. And we believe that Bangladesh is a true democracy that deserves to have free and fair elections.
Thank you. Would you like to add anything else?
Zulura, I know this policy will create questions. I just have to emphasize again that we take this decision in the most constructive and positive way. We want this to contribute to the dialogue in Bangladesh and efforts by everyone, government, opposition, civil society, to create the environment for a free and fair election in the year ahead. These could be difficult times for Bangladesh, or it could be that this election ushers in a really joyous age in which Bangladesh can celebrate all of its accomplishments, both economic but also political accomplishments, by making an election which is better than all the elections before it. That's our hope.
Mr. Assistant Secretary of State, indeed, thank you so much. Thanks for your time and insights.
It has been a delight to be with you, Zulura. Let me wish you and your audience all the success.